Welcome back, Pirate Crew. It's your captain, Yeehaw Yadam, and we're back with another episode of 10-minute testing for the One Piece trading card game. In this series, we'll be showcasing a deck through competitive gameplay and analyzing its position in the upcoming meta. So get yourselves a drink, and we'll get straight into the card by card. Alright, I don't know what happened last week on the PPG Online Regional, but Magellan somehow got to 5th place. And you know what? After playing the deck, I think I kind of understand. So if you guys were on the stream, I made a little anecdotal story that happened at our local with Andrew Duvall. For those of you that don't know him, he's the guy that won the Treasure Cup Miami. Fantastic player, world champion for DBS. And we were talking, I was playing Kaido, and I said, man, why am I playing Kaido? It doesn't seem like I'm ever using the -7 Dawn in this very aggressive meta. So what is the purpose of Kaido being my purple leader? Is this so I can play Onigashima, which I don't see every game, and the 10 drop? Those are the two cards that limit you to being an Animal Kingdom pirate. So I thought to myself, what is stopping me from just playing Magellan, since I'm already playing such a heavy impel-down engine anyways, and just making use of his, passive effect? It sounded kind of troll. It sounded kind of funny. But on Sunday, we knew that guy wasn't joking. So we saw there was only 4 Magellans in the tournament, and about 2 of them made it into top 16. So there has to be something that's something about this guy makes a little bit of sense. So let's get right to it. For those of you that don't know what Magellan does, he states, when a Dawn card is returned from the field to the Dawn deck, this leader gains 1,000 power during this turn. Now, this effect is when a Dawn card is returned from the field. So if you're playing a purple mirror and you like if your opponent uses a blast breath or something on one of your prior attacks, that will trigger your Magellan, giving it an extra 1,000. Just so you guys know, you don't have to specifically trigger your Dawn minus, your opponent can trigger it for you. Pretty little interesting. It doesn't really come up often, but it's there. So this is the deck that was piloted by the gentleman that got 5th place. And honestly, the deck it feels pretty good. There's a lot of really good concepts here. We're prioritizing obviously our very strong impel-down package. So the impel-down package, let's start off with our Nami, Mr. Hannibal. So Hannibal is like the Nami for the deck. We'll go ahead and search the top 5 cards of your deck, looking for an impel-down type card, meaning it could include the Hell's Judgment, both of the Jailor Beast in the Minotaur and Minokoala, our 2K, as well as our big Magellan himself. So he searches pretty much like, I think, 20-ish cards from the deck that are all very, very good in their own right. We're also playing a fantastic 2K in terms of X-Drake. The Dawn -1 effect for this card is very, very playable. He is a 2K, 5-card statted line, so it will trigger our Magellan. We have little Sadie that is basically, if you played the Animal Kingdom Pirates structure deck, this is like the ulti. So ulti was a 4-cost 5K that would summon another card from the hand, a page 1. This is a 2K counter 3K that will summon a 4-drop. So if you're on odds, you go 1-3, so you can go Hannibal into little Sadie and then cheat out one of the Jailor Beasts that are pretty darn good for 3 mana. She also helps you fight for board versus aggressive decks. Then we have Shiki from he's a film card from OPO2 that basically can come out of life. Doesn't really happen, but I mean it's there because it's an option. It is also a 2K counter, and for Dawn -1 just kind of triggers and summons himself to the board. I don't really think he is the best option, but he is a 2K. This could also be any of the fantastic 2Ks that Purple has at his disposal. Maybe Sasaki? Sasaki would probably be a better option than this gentleman. Then we have Douglas Bullet from OPO2. This card is pretty darn good. So he is a 6K. Basically, it's a Yamato with counter, right? So Yamato is a 4-drop 6K that taps something. This is a 5-drop 6K counter Dawn -1 rest something. Now Yamato rests up to 6. This rests up to 4. It's obviously not on the same power scale, but it is a very good card nonetheless. Funny enough, you could probably play Gordon here from the film because you're playing a lot of film cards, but we'll get to that. So Douglas Bullet comes in. He's mostly there to trigger the Dawn -1. He has a 6K stat line, which is perfect into Whitebeard. So this will trigger a 6K without Dawn commitment, a Whitebeard attack, trigger the Magellan Whitebeard attack. This guy was expecting a lot of Whitebeard. Then we have Hannibal, Magellan, another 6K, right in the Whitebeard zone. He stays Dawn -1. Your opponent returns a Dawn from their Dawn deck, and then on opponent's turn, if this card is KO'd, return 2 Dawn to your opponent's Dawn deck. So this card is basically a Dawn control card. Very, very good. 1 Dawn under him, and he's already a 7 versus the 5K leaders. If you're playing against Whitebeard, he is 6K, so he's always perfectly statted. Fantastic, fantastic card. The only problem that he has is he obviously doesn't have counter, but, he might be just a little too good with some counter. Then we have the Mini Koala, who is a 5k blocker that states on KO if your leader is impel-down based, you gain a Dawn. And you have the Minotaur, which is a double attack or double striker that says on KO if your leader is impel-down, gain a Dawn. So both of these come in their own right. They fight for the board defensively and offensively. And this card, even though it isn't a blocker, the moment you turn this card sideways, it becomes a pseudo blocker because it is so dangerous to leave on the board. If you swing with this card, let's say you summon Little Sadie. Little Sadie will go ahead and punch this guy out. They don't have an answer to it. Your turn, you shove 4 Dawn into it and you swing for 9k. Now they either defend this or they take 2 hits, and either of the situations is really, really good for you. You give me your hand or you gain 2 cards and you get closer and closer to winning the game. Early on, they'll probably take the hit, but it's kind of dangerous. And once this card is turned sideways, they can try to, defend into it, go at and attack it, but it's very, very good. It also presents cheeky lethal. So if you ever get your opponent down to 2 life, you can just summon the Minotaur, and now you're threatening lethal. In the later portions of the game, when they're down to 2, they have 1 card in hand, you stick a Minotaur, game might just be over. Then we have King using our beautiful Dawn -1 effect to go trigger our leader. He is a 7k. There's a lot that goes well with this card, especially with the Queen. Some of the better cards from the Animal Kingdom Pirate Structure deck. We're using Uda. Uda is a fantastic card. The Dawn -1 on my opponent's turn to suspend something. It is a blocker. It rests, and it gets around Marco. More importantly, now I really do believe that the gentleman that was playing this Magellan deck was very teched into defeating Whitebeard. I'm not going to lie. Every single card in this deck seems like a Whitebeard tech. Because if they play Marco, you king it, then you swing everything into it. They have to burn their entire hand to make it live. Then you have a 7k that with 1 Dawn is 2 above the Whitebeard. You have the 6ks. You have Uda to rest Marco. And then you have Guild Tesoro, another film card that states when attacking Dawn -2. So if you don't have any Dawn minusing cards in your hand that trigger when they are on played, you have Guild Tesoro. If this card gets to stick on the board, every single turn he will Dawn -2 with this card and then draw 2 and then create your leader into a pseudo Whitebeard, gaining hand advantage and becoming a pseudo blocker. This card is absolutely fantastic. Another film card that's in the deck. I'm telling you, Hannibal could probably, not Hannibal, Buena Fiesta can probably fit here. Then we have 3 Thunder Bagua and then 4 of the Hell's Judgment. Some of the most fantastic event cards in the game. So overall, really, really strong deck. Let's see what the deck can do. So it's Magellaning time and we're off to a Garp matchup. Now I've played the Garp deck and you can't surprise me, brother. I know what to expect. So I have a really good opener here. I make myself go second just to put Garp on their odds, which I know that that's not great for them. So I'll go Hannibal to start. He hits me for 5. Sure, I think I'd take this one. And there's a reason there's no trigger effect that happens there. And he has a really good start in the Monkey D Luffy plus Chopper. Now I'm deciding really what I want to do here. And I'm just going to swing for 5 and play a little Sadie to go ahead and summon the Mini Koala. Keeping 1 up, that's the only thing I didn't want to do. Like I wanted to maybe swing for 6, but I also wanted a card out of their hand. So I wanted to swing for 5 as well, because I think it would proc the same amount of threshold. He would take it no matter what. So he's going to go ahead and Luffy, Suction 2, use Garp's effect. And he only has 2 Dawn left. With 2 Dawn, he can't really like KO anything unless he uses Meteor Volcano. And I think the Mini Koala is just outside of range for that, right? He'd be 2 instead of 1. He swings at me for 5. I take it again because I'm just going to aggressively take cards and then just defend infinitely onto my board. So the fact that I know he's, it's Garp, I noticed that this Luffy wanted to make sure it cannot be KO'd by strike characters once he has Dawn under it. So the Mini Koala cannot attack the Luffy, as Mini Koala, for whatever reason, is a strike character. I'll go ahead and use Queen's effect. I'll draw, I'll discard a Minotaur, as I don't think that card's going to come up in this matchup. I'm going to swing 6 at 3. See if he gives me 2 2Ks, and he decides to do that. And then I attach my final Dawn here into my Hannibal, and now he's lost basically everything. He's lost advantage, and I'll swing for 5. The reason I swing with my Mini Koala is if he KOs it, I gain a Dawn. If he reduces it and KOs it that way, I still gain a Dawn. So I just don't see the card being too sticky on this board today. He goes Borzolino, uses Luffy's effect to gain Suction 2 Dawn, reduce the cost of Queen by 2. And then what does he want to do from here? I guess like it's within Kobe range. So if he wants to Kobe it, he can. So he swings 5 here. I'll take the free block while I still can, because if he decides to Kobe, I'm going to lose the Queen anyways. And I think he swings 5. I don't even think I have to defend this, but I think I choose to defend this. Yeah, I'll remove a 2K from my hand to keep up the Mini Koala. He'll attach another Dawn, and I think he misclicked there, and I think he shame concedes right after. I mean, I'll let the little Sadie go. So yeah, shame concedes. But I think that game was over the moment that I was able to take out the Luffy. Now we're going to go get, again, speaking of Luffy, into Monkey D. Luffy, which is an underexplored character, but they have a really nice position in the meta as they can play the really tall deck, aka they got a great addition with the Whitebeard card. They can still play the 5-cost Luffy, which Zoro doesn't really play anymore, and I think Luffy's just a solid leader. So we'll go ahead, we have a fantastic start starting with Henny Bao and Little Sadie. This is what I'm talking about, the really, really good odd curve that this deck has. And again, I'm going to take all the hits aggressively. I get immediately punished by the Nico Robin Gordon play, meaning my whole board kind of sort of has to turn sideways. So I want to summon a queen here, but I choose not to in order to not have it immediately KO'd by, again, that combo. So I go ahead and I summon a 1-drop, 4-drop, again, just to keep the board in my tempo. He goes Pistol, KO a Koala, you know, Gordon, Nico Robin, KO another Koala, and I'm like, cool, I just ramped too. Nice. So I feel like I'm feeling Onigashima's power surge through me here. I'm going to go ahead and use Douglas Bullet. I'm going to rest the Nami. So I got the Nami first and then remove a card, and then that's a free Nico Robin kill. And then I'll go ahead and summon in Uda. The Nami goes sideways, and yeah, I'm not going to defend the Hannibal. Hannibal has done more than enough. Going to go ahead and summon Zoro, swing a Little Sadie. I'm cool with that. And he swings 9. I do take that because now I'm just going to start leaving a lot of Dawn up just to protect myself for the rest of the game. But I'm going to go ahead and do my best to remove his board, right? He has to give him as little option as possible. I'll go to Zoro, leave up 4, and God, here comes the beard. I have to defend him, and because I defended him, I'm in a weaker spot. So I'm going to go ahead and summon 1, go use the minus effect, swing for 7, swing for 7, swing for 8 because I'm not going to use the rest of my Dawn, and then pass my turn. So he went to 2 life there, even on the Whitebeard turn. So he goes Gordon, removes a Uda. I'm going to take this hit. And then, yeah, I was really susceptible to a unblockable Luffy there, but I had enough counter to deal with it. So I'm going to go ahead and defend here. No point in putting my Uda at risk, and I just have a ton of cards in hand. The way that I win this game, again, is using Guild Tesoro just to, like, gain card advantage. So I'm deciding how I'm going to summon a blocker and then keep up 2 for, well, I don't have Hell's Judgment, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a couple cards off Tesoro, just have a bunch of cards, go 7/7/7, and he just actually didn't have counter. Sometimes they just don't got it. And then for my other aggro matchup, a lot of variety, eh? We're going to go against Whitebeard. Now, I think Magellan, this was like the finals that the Magellan player had to play in order to top, and yeah, they were able to win it convincingly. Let's see if I can do something a little bit similar. Now, I don't have a very good start, but it's pretty good. It's good enough, right? It's definitely good enough. So I'll go ahead and I'm on evens, unfortunately. I'll go ahead and Koala. He's playing Pistol, and he's also playing Whitebeard cards. So I'm kind of like confused in what his deck is really doing. I'm not sure if it's Strawbeard. I'm not sure if it's Moby Dick. He's concealing it. I swing. I hit a Whitebeard Pirate. Gonna go ahead and add a Marco, I believe. So now that I see Marco, I'm in even more confused than I was previously. As I think he's trying to do like an in-between build, which, by the way, I think is really cool. Kind of interested in trying that out. I'm not defending any of the beards thus far. I'm just taking all the damage I can to keep up my hand with his. Gonna go ahead and summon a Marco here. See what he does with the rest of their Dawn. Now he has 3. He's gonna summon a Blenheim. And now I can go ahead and like turtle up here and summon a bunch of blockers, but I don't think that's exactly the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and deploy, you know, 6k statted monsters. I'm gonna go ahead and rest the Blenheim, attack the Blenheim. You'd have to give me 2/2ks in order to get out of this one. So there is something to be said about like beefing it up, but then I can just attack it with my king. Let's see what he chooses to do. He lets it go. And I'm deciding I don't really have much Dawn left. I'm just going to 7 base it. And then I'm going to go ahead and summon more bodies here. Little Sadie effects on me, a Koala, and we're in a really nice spot. Still get a blocker out of there. And I'm still able to deal with one of his blockers. Because, again, he's just going to take the damage irregardless. There is something to be said about attacking phase, but with the Chopper and with the Marco there, I mean, I still got a 2k out of his hand for whatever reason. So he goes ahead and summons Moby Dick, and now I am terrified. I was not expecting the Moby Dick. But 8 attack at 7 just wasn't it. Definitely it procs a 2k out of me. You know, he's been swinging at me for 6 the whole game, so maybe he doesn't think I have a 2k. But I certainly had been saving it. So let's see what he goes and does from here on out. Gonna go ahead and Seaquake the Little Sadie. That's actually the move that lost Whitebeard the game on the online, so... You know, he's not watching the stream. So right here, I'm just going to swing at him for just base numbers. I just need to whittle his hand. There's no way I can win the game this turn, especially with double blocker. Really solid use of the Chopper there. And I'm trying to see what I do from here. I think like there's something to be said about summoning a Magellan, but I think I have to be a little bit more cautious. I got to respect him a little more. going to pitch the Magellan because it's not counter. I'm going to go 8 again. And then he's going to block with the Marco. Marco's going to go ahead and remove a Seaquake, and then I'm going to go 6 again. Because like I don't want to swing at the Marco, because Marco can just pitch another Seaquake or another useless card. I want him to pitch actual 1Ks from his hand. And he goes, and see, he does Red Hawk there. So he wanted to use it as he's not sure he's going to be able to leave up 2 for the next turn. So that 6 attack got over-countered by 3k, which is exactly what we want to do in this matchup. But I'm at 2 life. I'm feeling kind of safe, right? 2 life is pretty okay versus Whitebeard. Doesn't feel terrible. I have a ton of cards in hand. I think I have a grip of 7, so I've kept up with him. He's very low on cards as well. But here comes Ace, and Ace is going to start... Yeah, see what I mean? But maybe I guess I should have taken the Seaquake away from him. So Ace is going to go ahead and remove my board, basically. Let's see where he swings here. I think he probably has to swing at the Douglas. I can't afford to defend the Douglas, so it goes back to my turn, and I'm at 10 Dawn, but I'm in a very spooky spot. So I'm going to go ahead and use X-Drake. X-Drake's going to remove a card from his hand. Right, it's also going to give my leader the 6k that he needs. So it's basically, I'm going to push him down to 0 cards exactly. So remove a card from his hand, swing 6, that's going to be remove a card, and then I can swing here with the Koala, which I opt to do. And then he's going to have to give me a Radical Beam. I was hoping he had to block with the Marco and let it die. But I have the out to the Marco in terms of the Uda here. So then it's his final turn. And he has to hit me with all 3 of those cards through a blocker. And he draws a Jet Pistol, which, funny enough, best card in the deck at this particular time. But also, it really has no place in the Whitebeard deck. Respectfully, that card should not be in your deck, sir. But I do like the top deck. Let's get it. So he has to hit me with, like, all of the hits need to connect. So he decides to go 10, 10, 10. I use the trigger effect for fun because it's not happening. And then he swings at me for 10 and I just fully combo out. I definitely had enough cards in hand to win. And I just barely got out of that one. Holy moly. And then for our last matchup, something a little different. We got a little bit of Emporio action. So Emporio is going to go and Perona me. That's the best start they can do. And honestly, putting me on evens is pretty good for them as well. They'll Perona, they'll top of the deck, and then it goes off to my turn. I'm going to double Hanny here. He's going to go ahead and add me Magellan. Going to Hanny again. I'm going to add little Sadie, I think, or a Koala, because I'm going to go to 4 anyways. So I don't mind just going Koala next turn. The turn 4 Magellan here is not, for Emporio isn't really strong, but he does the best that he can with his Dawn. So he's going to swing at me 5-5, which is really solid, very aggressive. Is actually what Emporio wants to do. And I get another Magellan, so we're going to be Magellaning the heck out of this guy. We're going to have to summon 3 of these. So Hannibal going to take over the Perona. I'm going to swing for 5. Going to Koala here. Yep. Really simple cleanup turn. And then this is their 5. Let's see what they do with 5. Starting off with New Kamaland, not very powerful. He removes a Don Quixote as he, for whatever reason, he knows exactly what's going to be on the deck. I'm going to go ahead and just let him hit me. I don't have a lot of counter power in my hand, and I need to work with it. He goes Buggy, add Monkey D, Luffy. So I'm aware of the Luffy. And then we're at 6 Dawn. If he's going to go to 7, but I'm going to go ahead and Magellan him so he can't Emporio me, which is really nice. And then I get to hit him with 7, and then I'm going to hit him with 5 again. I'm just going to be super aggressive versus him. And if he wants to attack my Koala, he's absolutely able to do so. Because the fact that he has the Luffy in hand, I probably see him going 6-drop Luffy bouncing the Koala anyways. So I don't mind doing this play. I'm going to go ahead and remove the Queen, which I probably shouldn't. Queen's probably really, really good in this matchup. And Uda is not that great, so I should have bounced the Uda. So just as expected, he summons the Luffy. I'm going to go ahead and Magellan him again. And I'm just going to 7-7 him. Let's see what he can do off of that. So the Luffy is mildly terrifying because he could double strike me into, if he goes Emporio here, it doesn't, go well for us. And yeah, he goes Emporio into the Luffy. Luffy's going to ditch 2 cards. Unfortunately enough, I put him in a situation where he can't really bounce any good cards out of my hand, so he doesn't want to use his effect. So he's going to go swing. I counter out of it. Oh, actually, I take the 7 since it wasn't double strike, and then I keep some for the next turn. So I'm going to go 5. Remove a Buggy, 6. He has very little cards in hand, so I'm just going to hit him for base numbers. And he's going to have to eat it. So I get to clear 1 Luffy, thank the Lord. Get to deal 8 points of damage, and then we'll just go and summon a Koala, and we'll pass it on to them. Maybe I shouldn't have hit him so that he wouldn't have enough cards to bounce my Koala. There's something to be said about that one, but he had the Emporio. He literally would have top-decked Emporio and would be in an even worse spot. I do have to defend this Luffy. I'm not defending Hanny. And then he's going to get a couple of points of damage here. Yep, that's gonna I think that one connects, and no, I counter out of that one. He goes ahead and tries to swing over my Magellan. I don't think I can afford to counter out of it, which is not great for us. But I think if I fully commit and I fully defend him, then we're gonna be in a good spot to use our Dawn to win the game. So he has 2 cards in hand. I think this is a math situation once again where he can't get out of it. So I go 7, give me the 2 cards in your hand. He opts not to, and that's a Magellan victory. So we're back with the deck, and honestly, Magellan felt toxic. But actually, I want to congratulate Tyler Ballin for creating such a fantastic deck, and it was a fantastic meta call in general. Magellan just feels right in this meta in comparison to Kaido. Magellan fights for the board. He has a fantastic engine at his disposal, and the fact that he can become a 6k leader every turn without Dawn investment lets him contest those pesky Whitebeards. I think what Tyler did was he noticed that Zoro and Whitebeard were going to be a large majority of the tournament, and honestly they were. I think with those two leaders in general, I think they made up for over 200 participants of the 500 player tournament, and therefore it was a fantastic meta call. Kaido, the purple leader of choice, is a lot better in a slower meta. The burn effect that Kaido has attached to him, the Dawn -7, the longer the game goes, the better Kaido is. Playing big chunguses like King, Queen, King, Kaido, seems a little bit better. The fact that Kaido can take an off turn to play Onigashima and get it repaid later on in the game also feels really, really good. But guess what? In a meta where every deck is just trying to beat you before you even get to 9 Dawn, Kaido might just not be the play, and Magellan might just fit a little bit better, which I do like that in our Western format. We do vary a little bit from the East. We like to explore more memes, and we like to explore the meta a little bit better. So I think it's very interesting that Magellan had no representation in the East, but quickly in the West, it has already seen a top and multiple slots in the top 16. So let's get to it. The deck felt absolutely fantastic. There's very little cards that I saw in the deck or I was playing that I wouldn't necessarily keep in the final product of the deck. I want to keep a very high impel-down engine as the Little Sadie, the Hannibal, the Magellan, and both of the Jailor Bees, as well as Hell's Judgment. All those cards felt fantastic. Absolutely great. Every time I drew them, I felt good. If I were able to open up a Hannibal versus an aggressive matchup, I was already feeling pretty comfortable, because once they turn their Namis or their Makino sideways, I know that Hannibal will do a little bit of cleanup, and I don't have to invest my powerful leader swings into those weenies. Not only that, but the Minute and Minotaur added weird pressure, because they're not cards that you want to pistol, because even if you pistol them, I get a bonus. If you don't pistol them, you're getting double attacked. If not, I have a blocker, and if not, they become offensive sources. Very often, the Little Sadie was cheating them out, gaining me a lot of board advantage and tempo, and Douglas Bullet was able to deal with all of those little teeny cards that they would summon in terms of Zoro all the way down, Nico Robin, Makino, the blockers, anything. And the fact that he's a 6k stat line felt absolutely fantastic. The weakest card in my deck by far had to be the Shiki. I understand the concept of Shiki being a 2-drop 3k, so I can summon it early, very similar to the Old Man in the previous format, where Kaido decided to play the Old Man to search through the deck to be able to contest very early Bonnies and Momos. But Shiki kind of feels like it does that a little bit better, but it doesn't necessarily feel like we need more early game in this deck. Cards like Little Sadie and all the impel-down cards that we have at our disposal just feel like they fit that spot already, and we're just kind of like pretty redundant with the Shiki. But honestly, it could be any 2k of your choice, as we do want to be high on 2ks as always with purple. So I would personally go for the Sasaki over Sasaki over the Shiki myself, and maybe I wouldn't go as heavy with 4 kings, but honestly 4 kings didn't feel terrible at all. The rest of the deck felt very just clean, and honestly a very nice final product. Good job to Tyler. So with that, guys, we have Magellan. Give him a shout, give him a shout out, give him a test, you know, take him to your locals. If your local is very Whitebeard and Zoro heavy, maybe you can try to do something a little bit different with the Magellan. Give him a little surprise toxic poison splash thing. But as always, guys, if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please go ahead and leave a comment down in the comment section on how we can improve Magellan. Maybe you're a Magellan enjoyer, maybe you're a Magellan hater. Let me know what you believe. Maybe Magellan is overhyped. Let's talk about it. And as always, guys, if you haven't joined the Pirate Crew but are enjoying the content that I'm bringing out, please consider subscribing. And as always, I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.